Hello, Dr. Marlia. I'm Fumi Ling, and this is my video presentation on my critical literature review. My research topic is poor communication skills among Malaysian Chinese students. First, let us look at the unemployability rate among Malaysian graduates in the year 2017 as projected by the Department of Statistics. As we can see from the pie chart given here, Chinese graduates are the second highest unemployed, as in the year 2017, it was 77,100 unemployed graduates. What is the major cause of unemployability rate among our graduates? Well, according to the Malaysian Employers Federation, 59% of our graduates have poor command of English and they cannot express themselves adequately during job interviews. So for my critical literature review, my research question is, what are the problems faced by Malaysian Chinese students when communicating in English? Let us revisit the implementation of the communicative language teaching approach in our Malaysian schools. CLT was proposed by the Ministry of Education because of its characteristics. Firstly, it is more communicative in its activities, and the tasks provided are fun, whereby students are able to do it meaningfully and use English in a proper setting. In addition to that, CLT is highly emphasizing on the meaning of the use of language rather than in their form, rules, and structure. So it is basically used for communication. Moreover, CLT is learner-centered rather than teacher-centered. However, researchers have compiled feedback from teachers on the issues they face in the implementation of CLT. Among these is the large class size, making it difficult for teachers to monitor the class, and there's a wide use of mother tongue among the students. In addition to this, there's lack of confidence of students in speaking English, making them passive during an English class, and they use their mother tongue rather than using English and becomes more teacher-centered, whereby they depend so much on the teacher. In addition to this, the low proficiency level of our students living in the urban and outskirts areas have also made it difficult for them to share their thoughts effectively during an English class. Research has also been made on the significance of the Mandarin language in the Chinese public as well as vernacular schools. Mandarin is a powerful connection with Chinese origin, as it is a language of culture and of ethnic identity, as according to Giles and Byrne 1982. The preference for Mandarin as the first language makes English not the second, because Bahasa would be the second national language and then English would be placed third. In addition to that, the teacher model, whereby the teacher uses the mother tongue, Mandarin, most of the time, or practices code switching. Research has also been done on the negative translation of Mandarin on English among Malaysian Chinese and China Chinese learners. This affects the cognitive processes from Mandarin into English communication, as quoted by Zhu 2013. In addition, there is also syntactic and morphological interference between the two languages. And when the focus is on mother tongue, what happens is that the acquisition of a new language is poor. In addition, we also have the lexical interference due to direct translation from Mandarin into English. For a learner to want to communicate in English, it also has to do with his willingness and motivational level. Into this area, much research has been done. For example, Hashimoto 2002, who discovered that in a Japanese ESL class, the Japanese students perceived their competence and were very self-conscious at how capable they were at speaking English, which resulted in their second language anxiety. In Thailand, Patapong 2010 found that Thai EFL learners were affected by their cultural context. This could also be their social and individual context, or even their thinking of who they are. So if a foreign language is too alien to them, like for example, if English is too foreign to them, they would not be willing to speak that language which they feel is foreign. In China, it was found by Liu and Jackson 2008 that even for these students, they have high anxiety level because they perceive their language ability very highly. And if they do not feel that they can speak the language, they do not want to speak English. The same goes to Malaysian Chinese learners too, who feel uncomfortable in speaking English, which makes English the last best spoken language among our Malaysian Chinese students. Talking about motivation, Research has found that our Malaysian Chinese learners are more instrumentally motivated rather than integratively motivated. Here we have Gardner's 1985 two theoretical approaches to motivation. The first one is the social psychology approach, whereby our learners are instrumentally motivated in learning English. It means that they learn English for the sake of benefiting something, not for their own personal benefit, but for an external benefit. The same goes for the cognitive approach, whereby learners are extrinsically motivated towards learning English. So when students are extrinsically motivated, we find that they are not taking language or the learning of the language personally onto themselves. They are not learning for their own personal development of wanting to learn a language, but rather for learning the language just to gain something externally. Let us now take a look at the research gap. As can be seen by the earlier slides, much emphasis has been given on integrative as well as intrinsic motivation. As according to Gardner 1985, page 53, he says that integrative motivation has a higher level of motivational intensity when it comes to learning second language. However, the importance of instrumental motivation cannot be overlooked. For example, if a learner is instrumentally motivated to get a job or to pass an exam, the learner is able to achieve success as well as another learner who is integratively motivated. Recent researchers, for example, Bell-McCreary and Hamel, 1998, Dornier, 1990, they say that instrumental motivation has equal or better impact than integrative motivation. The title of my research topic is Investigation of Malaysian Chinese Young Learners' English Acquisition in an International School. My research objectives and questions are related to what are the problems in English acquisition among Malaysian Chinese learners in an international school? What are the extrinsic motivational factors of these Malaysian Chinese students in their English acquisition? As well as what are the strategies used by these students in their learning of English language. The conceptual framework of my research would consist of the independent variable, which is English acquisition of Malaysian Chinese students in an international school, and the dependent variable making up of the extrinsic motivation, as well as other factors which include the strategies that students used in learning English, as well as the strategies that they use in their using of English. The data analysis for the research objectives and questions will be based on the following. First, the primary data collected from the school. This will be made up of the total number of Chinese students in the international school. Number 2, the number of Chinese students that are in grades 4 and 9. Number 3, the average English score of Chinese students in comparison with other students that are in grades 4 and 9. The quantitative data analysis will be on how are the extrinsic motivation of Chinese learners in learning English. The instrument will be through survey questionnaire and the analysis will be through Likert scale. The qualitative data analysis would be based on the questions, what are the strategies used by Chinese learners in their learning as well as using of English? The instrument will be done through interviews. The analysis will be through data collection. Number 2, the data will be reduced to focusing. Number 3, the results will be displayed on the chart. Number 4, the conclusions will be drawn by the sequential that has been received from the survey, identifying clusters of their responses, and a further in-depth study will be made on the responses to see whether do they add or correspond to the findings of the survey. Thank you, Dr. Marlia, for your time in watching this video presentation.